Welcome to the Caravan Show, where we discuss all things caravans. That's right, everything you need to know about caravans, from weight, towing, maintenance, appliances, renovations, buying a caravan, repairs, destinations and reviews. We'll also chat with some Aussie legends, manufacturers, suppliers and of course, people who love caravans. Take it away, Roy.
And podcasts. So today we're pleased to tell you that we have a guest in Andrew Goddard.
Hey.
Now, Andrew, we're going to tell you a little bit about Andrew. Andrew is third generation in the company that he's with, which is Cruisemaster.
Yep.
Originally called Vehicle Components, and I guess because the most popular product you had was in fact your Cruisemaster suspension, you've moved over to that name, but we can talk more about it. But as third generation, I really want to start off talking about Arthur.
Yeah.
Now, I know not many people know this, that there is actually a book about Arthur out there, and the book is called They Found Our Engineer, written by Michael Bishop. So your grandfather's had quite a career in the off-road element of engineering, and one of the founders for Land Rover.
Yeah, so Arthur was the first chief engineer of the Land Rover, so the Series 1. He was brought in to head it up. And kind of, I think from memory, that's kick-started his automotive engineering.
Yeah. So he was the first qualified engineer in the Goddards.
Yes, I think that's correct. Yeah.
And Dad followed suit.
Yep.
Chris. He also went and did engineering to take over from.
Yeah. So I don't know whether that was necessarily ever viewed as the plan, but Dad went into automotive engineering in the UK. He also had a relationship with Land Rover, so one of the companies he worked for made body panels for the Discovery. So that was his automotive experience prior to Vehicle Components, as it was.
Yeah. Now, I know you've not always enjoyed the best of relationships with your grandfather, like a lot of young fellas do.
Yeah.
And I think there was probably even a time where you may not have ended up where you are today, but you went and did your own stuff. So you went to become an engineer in your own right.
Yeah, so I guess a bit of my history of Vehicle Components. I would work there ever since I was old enough to work. So I painted the bins, I counted the U-bolts, then I did welding, I did machining in our CNC facility. One thing led to another, I ended up in the engineering department and did my degree. I guess where, use my words carefully here, we butted heads, I think, mainly due to generational changes. How we do things as modern engineers is a bit different to how it was done, all those years ago. So I made a decision that I need to get some experience outside of Vehicle Components, and applied for a job at TJM as in product development. And I got that and headed off over there. Ended up in charge of the suspension development team at TJM.
Brilliant. One of the things that we often hear is that I think it goes something along the first generation build it and develop it, the second generation sort of tear it down, and the third generation absolutely destroy it. But what I've seen with Vehicle Components is actually second generation did even bigger and better things than the first generation did, and I'm seeing so many changes that's happened since third generation's become involved. That actually, I think you're going to beat the trend. I think we're actually going to see that the company's going to go the opposite way, and actually is growing with each generation. So the company name changed from Vehicle Components to Cruisemaster.
Yeah.
What was the rationale behind that? And actually, whose idea was that change?
I think we'd probably credit that to my old man. So it was a case of the company was growing up. We went from a small company doing odd jobs to being a major player in the caravan and camper trailer market with our suspensions and couplings. And I think it was really first seen in our branding. We'd never really done a lot of active marketing. Our products always stood up for themselves with other people coming into the market and challenging us. We needed to put on a new strong face of the business, and that was by no means an easy thing. Trying to rebrand a business that you're very intimate with, and you know the branding, the message of the company was quite difficult. So it took us, I don't know, maybe 2 years to finally get to the point, and many name changes and logos and stuff like that.
I know from my side, I mean, I've been VC, and now I've actually gotten so used to Cruisemaster, I'm stumbling to remember VC. So it obviously does pay if you keep doing it. Your role within Cruisemaster today, you're heading up what area?
Okay, so my role is Technical Operations Director. So I'm in charge of engineering, so all the product development that goes into our gear. In charge of our Tone Performance Centre, which is a part of our business where we're modifying and servicing caravans and tow vehicles. The business development, so the new business side of things, as well as marketing, believe it or not. Not necessarily something which engineers are typically proficient at.
In part of that role, I know you guys do a lot of product testing, and you do this rat run.
Yeah.
I know this has been something that you've had a lot of fun with. With that type of thing, I mean, it is fun, but it's also incredibly bloody hard work, which people don't realise, because you're trying to make the product fail, and of course, once you've made it fail, you've now got to fix it
and get back
again. Yeah. So tell us a bit about your rat runs.
So we started that off in 2009, from memory, and it was driven from the fact that we were making off-road products, and we had some experience off-road, you go to Cruiser Park and Moreton and Fraser and stuff like that, but people were pushing our products further, so we needed to get amongst the conditions that our customers are going to use the products in. So our first trip was to Cape York, and we haven't kind of looked back since. But the idea is that we take products that we've done a decent amount of work on, and it's become the sign-off for us of an off-road product. We won't release something to the market if we haven't done a trip with it. And those trips are typically a couple of weeks. The conditions and the areas that we go to will change depending on the type of product it is. So if we're developing our semi-off-road product, we're looking for lots of reasonably basic dirt roads. If we're developing ATX, the hardcore off-road products, we're looking for the worst roads in Australia, and we'll tailor it around that. But you're not wrong there. They are tough. Last year was our hardest one. One of my chief engineers doesn't even want to do another one after that. It's beaten us all up so much, and we break bits off cars and all that type of stuff. So it's full on.
So tell us a little bit about your product range. So what products do Cruisemaster themselves actually produce under your own banner?
So our major products are Cruisemaster suspension systems, so GT, CRS, XT and ATX. Our couplings, the DO35, the DO45 and the DO65, as well as a range of jacks that kind of originated from doing work at Brisbane City Council. They're our main core products.
So of course the DO35 I know has just had another upgrade. So this is probably what, generation 4 or 5 even or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So we were thinking about what to call it, and we ended up with DO35 Plus because it's not all new. It's I guess in the automotive industry you'd call it a facelift. We're just dealing with little things that we wanted to improve and make the user experience of the product better for our customers.
Of course, the other benefit for this is that you are prone to the copycats out there where people come along, look at all the research and all the development and everything they've done, and they just simply go and send it, dare I say, overseas to one of the cheaper manufacturing areas in the world. And they then bring in what is, quite frankly, an inferior product that looks very much like your product, and that must be one hell of a battle to constantly keep under control.
Yeah, it is. Like on one hand, it's nice that people want to copy our products. That must mean we're doing something all right, because you wouldn't want to copy something bad. But yeah, it's an ongoing battle where we don't want to tie ourselves up in court proceedings necessarily. You know, we'd rather put money into continuous development and keep making the better product. So I guess to some degree it drives us to keep tweaking our products and making them better, so everybody's always behind.
Yeah, so just staying on that subject for a little bit longer, because it's not just the DO35 that's been copied, you've also had your major suspension copied as well. So I'm out there in the world today and I'm saying to my supplier, I want a Cruisemaster suspension. How can I be sure that I am getting a genuine suspension or a genuine DO35 coupling? There must be some telltale somewhere. We don't need to wait for it to fail to find out. We should be able to find out straight up front, shouldn't we?
Yeah. So the good thing about the DO35 is we've pretty much got control of that, such that anything that looks like it is a DO35. It's got Cruisemaster on it. It's got our Stag logo on it. So that's pretty hard to miss. Suspensions can be a bit trickier because the copies are getting better. A few of the telltales are on the arm. We have a Cruisemaster XT sticker, which nothing else has. The cam adjuster that adjusts camber and tow, that's got CM on it. It's Cruisemaster. Our shocks are branded. The coil springs as well, they are co-branded King Springs and Cruisemaster. So providing those types of things are there, and there's it's a good chance it's going to be us.
Yeah. So let's just say I am unfortunate enough to end up with one of these copies. What makes the copy not as good as the original?
In the first instance, it can be materials. We're quite particular on our materials to the point where we now do goods inwards inspections on materials to make sure they're the correct grade before we even start welding them. Welding is obviously one thing. You know that quite well. Not all welds are made alike. We spend a lot of time in getting that right, in jigging and stuff like that. Typically that investment isn't made by people who copy. The continuous development, the little minute stuff in the design of the arms which makes them capable of holding the load that we want to apply in the conditions that we do is not something you just fall upon. It's something that takes years and years and years to really get right, and you're not going to get that in something that's just been copied.
So I'm trying not to use the word China in our conversation because quite frankly it rather terrifies me that when we start using countries' names that people start to focus on Chinese people, and we're not talking about Chinese people, we're talking about the Chinese culture and what they do and what they build in China. I often hear that Chinese steel isn't as good as Australian steel. I'm not an engineer, so I don't fully understand how that can be. I mean, surely steel is just steel.
Yeah, I'm not going to hide behind it. We do get some components out of China, like everybody else does. And what we've found is it's about how you specify the steel. So a lot of people go wrong by letting the manufacturers over there choose the steel, and over time they might start off with something good, but like there is here, there's different grades of steel. It can reduce. And obviously there'll be different manufacturers of steel over there as well. It might not get the carbon content right or the alloying elements quite right. It can be done overseas, but you've got to be on top of it and make sure from the outset that you're specifying it correctly.
So you do actually bring in some Chinese products, but I'm pretty sure there's one product that you don't bring in, and that is the bearings.
We definitely don't bring those in. We had a look at them many years ago. We don't necessarily just want to write stuff off because it's from certain areas of the world, so we will test it. We had problems with it, so we don't bring them in. Our bearings are all Japanese from a couple of different manufacturers through CBC, and it's just not something we have problems with.
And so in the past, when you've looked at products and what you've been able to get hasn't really been up to your standards. You've looked at building or developing your own products, and one example of that, of course, that I can think of recently is brakes.
Yes. Yeah, that's it's a good one, the brakes. The supply lines of brakes into Australia are very limited in where you can get them from, and as such, they can be quite pricey. So we went out and got our own, did a lot of testing on it. Obviously, braking is a very important part and it's a safety conscious thing. So we did a lot of work. Obviously, corrugations is an issue for brakes. We did a lot of work off-road with them. And then we finally brought it to market after a couple of years of playing with it and tweaking it.
Certainly all the testing and so forth that you've done has enabled Cruisemaster to be able to brand itself as the premium brand of suspensions and components, such as again, I'm going to harp on DO35 because
yeah,
I'm a big lover of the DO35. I think it's just a fantastic product. And I've actually been, in my other business, a customer for Cruisemaster VC for damn near 20 years now, and pretty much use your products exclusively. So I was one of the first to recognise that I thought we had a local manufacturer here in Queensland that was doing something that was worthwhile promoting and seeing, and I've just enjoyed the progress that you guys have made. I love the fact that you do the testing with the rack runs. Disappointed I've never been invited, but that's another conversation. So where do we go from here? Where do you see your future with Cruisemaster?
Yeah, can't give all the secrets away, but we're looking at range expansion. Obviously, we've got a pretty good range of suspensions and couplings there, but we don't want to rest on our laurels. There are other areas of the caravan and camper trailer makeup that we're having a look into. Obviously, the whole smart and electronic side of things is something that everybody's looking into. So, it's something that we're quietly looking at as to what can happen.
You've done some work with that as well. You've now got your own anti-sway system. Is that right?
No, we don't have one of those yet. We tend to work with other people on that type of stuff. Not our expertise yet, but there's a few good ones out there.
Sorry, I thought there was a new product for anti-sway, the electronic one, or is that one of these?
BM Pro.
The BM Pro.
Yeah.
Is that a joint venture type thing? Is it or?
Not really. It's BM Pro down in Melbourne wanted a distributor up here. Obviously, we supply pretty much most of the market in Queensland for suspension systems and stuff like that. So just a logical relationship to
so
sell the
you're
products
actually
up here.
you're selling the BM Pro on their behalf. But,
yeah.
My experience with Cruisemaster is you don't normally do these things without doing the whole heap of product testing on it. So did you actually go out there and do that?
Yeah, we did a bit with it. It's a good proven product ultimately. It's got a lot of backing behind it. We know the guys that developed it ultimately, so we're confident in the product.
Is this an Australian product?
No, it's American.
American, okay.
Yeah.
So at least they taught the same language.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there instruction manuals in English?
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I love is I'm doing a lot of other product testing, and if I open up the box and it's in a different language, I really struggle. And if they do multiple languages, they tend to make all the text really, really tiny. And an old man like me has real problems reading that. So when I get something open up, it's in English, it's usually larger text, and I go, wow, this is an exciting start to the day.
Yeah, we put lots of pictures in for that.
Andrew, look, it's been absolutely fantastic having you here today, and I truly appreciate it. Look, thanks again for coming in, and I'm sure we'll have another chat in the not too distant future.
And no problem, thanks for having me.
Cheers.